So in this video, we're going to be talking a little bit about online athletic recruiting services, and specifically what I call the big box online recruiting services. Now, the first time you jump on your computer and you start keying in certain words like, how do I get an athletic scholarship, or how do I get college coaches to notice me, you're immediately going to be hit with ads or, arrows pointing to what I call these big box online athletic recruiting services. And if you've already found your way to them, they're very interesting looking, and you may be asking yourself, do I need an athletic recruiting service? And so that's what we're going to talk about a little bit in this video. But first, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Blake Starkey. I help high school athletes and their parents understand all the stuff they need to do if they're interested in playing their sport at the college level, possibly on athletic scholarship, which is just a really exciting thought. And I like to think I know a little bit about this because, you see, for over 20 years, I was a high-level NCAA Division I head coach. I coached at 2 major universities in 2 different Power 5 conferences. I've personally recruited and signed more athletes to scholarships than I could count, and this is just something that I'm really, really passionate about. And so, for starters, if this is something that you're interested in and you just need a really good starting place, down at the bottom of this video, you're going to see there's a link, and I really encourage you to click it. What that is it's a completely free guide. It's a free walkthrough that I personally put together. It's a video guide. It's got notes, and what it does is it walks you through everything that you need to be doing your freshman year of high school all the way through your senior year. And it's really, really great. And another thing, if this is a topic that you're interested in, how to figure out how to get yourself recruited, I put out videos on this topic fairly regularly. And so if this is something that you're kind of interested in, by all means, subscribe to the channel. Now, if you're a high school athlete and may be wondering, do I need a recruiting service? Is this something that I need? And I want to be really quick to say that, I'm a consultant. I'm a professional consultant. I work with individual families and individual athletes on this process. There's a big difference between being a consultant, what I do, versus what these large online recruiting services do. And so, I did put together a piece a little while back giving you very good perspective in terms of, kind of how many of these recruiting services operate, and also giving you pretty honest feedback in terms of what the college coaches, us, the ones who actually make the decisions, what we think of online athletic recruiting services and a lot of the kids that get pushed our way through these services. So I think you'll find this to be really interesting.
Not once did you hear me say anything about them needing, signing up with, or hiring a recruiting service. We need to talk about recruiting services, and this is a good place since we are talking about misconceptions. Look, I can't even begin to describe the money involved in college sports these days. College sports, specifically football and basketball, are big, big business. Multi-millions of dollars annually. And everybody's trying to catch in on the action, from vendors selling shirts and hats to anything else they can slap a logo on. Virtually every aspect of college and pro sports has a monetary side to it. Well, the recruiting side of college sports is no different. It's grown into big business, and recruiting services have popped up all over the place and definitely online. Now, before examining recruiting services, I need to put a disclaimer out here. I don't think you need them. I really don't. I personally feel very strongly that you can and you should do this whole thing yourself. As a former Division I head coach, I can tell you it's actually the best way to go about it. I personally believe most recruiting services are just smoke and mirrors. No matter what they say, they don't have any real power or influence. And when it comes to coaches, they really can't make a college coach or a school take you. Only a college head coach, and again, I used to be one, only a college head coach who's in charge of their team and the players they put on their team or give scholarships to is the one making those decisions. And only a committed kid who works hard enough in their sport will be the one who affects if they become solid enough for a college coach to notice and take them. You see, recruiting services don't truly represent you. They run formulas that, at their best, only somewhat help market you. But at the moment you get picked up by a college coach, any recruiting service that you've been involved with will be very quick to take credit. Even though you made all the sacrifices and did all the hard work to become good, they'll be very quick to add you to what they call their long list of success stories. And when they talk to the next kid, it's quietly implied that without them, none of it would have happened for you, and you wouldn't have gotten that scholarship. Well, with a little training, you can do what recruiting services supposedly do for you, and you can do it more effectively. If there's key national ranking systems for your sport, then you absolutely should try to play in competitions where your name will pop up on those ranking systems for coaches to see. But you do not need to pay recruiting services in order to position yourself to play your sport in college. Let me ask you a really simple question. If you want something, who's going to work harder for that something for you than you? Seriously, no matter how much money you fork over, who's going to work harder on your behalf for something for you than you? The answer is no one. So let me ask you another question. How hard do you think someone's going to work for you if they have a lot of other distractions? I mean, you're not their main focus, and at the same time, they have a lot of other stuff in front of them. They're dealing with lots of other kids and situations. They're not in your town or in your state, and they really don't know you. Not the way you know you and you know your situation. At the end of the day, no matter what they say, no matter how fancy a website is or how much they charge or how much you pay, which will be a lot, they are not going to be as invested in you as you are personally invested in you. You just need to learn a few things, and then you can absolutely do this for yourself. And you'll be more effective. Most recruiting services often charge crazy prices for what they supposedly do. They aggressively sell you on an idea that all of this is an intricate process and that you need them and that you can't do this without them. They tell you that it's so complex that you really can't afford to do this yourself, that you need them, the quote-quote experts. And it's just not true. It's not true at all. Most services point out that college is really expensive, which it is. So this $5,000 investment to them, if you get a scholarship, is really nothing when you look at the big picture. Yeah, but $5,000 or whatever, that's $5,000. That's a lot of money. My thing is, what if you could actually get better results by just learning some stuff and not involving a pricey recruiting service at all? When you talk to them on the phone, they're very accommodating and very good at selling you on why you need them. Look, I don't think these are bad people. Not at all. They're just people with jobs. But what they're doing is trying to get in the middle and sell you high-priced services. And they're very, very clever in the way they sell you. Here's some of the things that they'll try to convince you of. They'll tell you that college coaches are very busy these days. We college coaches are so busy that we use the internet for all of our recruiting. They imply or they tell you that they, this particular recruiting service, are the recruiting leaders when it comes to the recruiting side of things. You're basically being told that the coaches have accepted that some recruiting service out there has basically become the clearinghouse for where all the kids are. So this is where we college coaches are doing all of our recruiting, right there on their website. They imply that because their network is the one, that it's critical that you are part of this network if you really want to play in college. They tell you that it's really important for them to evaluate you so they basically can tell you where you belong or what level you need to be playing. They sometimes call this a second-party evaluation. They'll tell you that college coaches trust and depend upon their respected second-party evaluations. And you're left with a feeling that they're on a first-name basis and have invitation to eat Christmas dinner with most of the college coaches in the country. These are not stupid people. The people behind these companies are very smart, and they're very good at selling the concept of college sports and getting you involved with them. Their models are impressive, and their websites, as you can imagine, are also impressive. Their biggest selling tools are, number one, giving you a free profile where they say you can connect with college coaches. And then, number two, in showing you all the college coaches who are registered with them. And number three, in showing you all their success stories. I mean, this is the place to be because, after all, this is where all the college coaches are clearly doing all of their recruiting, right? But here's the deal. We're not. All the college coaches are not doing their recruiting right there. Please let me show you how some of this works. We college coaches are invited to join these recruiting services. They want to add our names and primarily our nationally recognizable named schools to a massive list of other coaches and schools in all sports. Some of them add us without even asking. But what they really want is to have a huge list so that when you, the potential customer, visit their site, you are left with an impression that all of us, the college coaches, are registered and doing all of our recruiting right there on their site. Heck, you're more than willing to sign up for your free account. It's only later when you start getting hit up for real money, and when you really sign on, it's usually in the thousands. Look, there's an easier way. It'll be fun, and at the end of the day, and most importantly, it'll be more effective. The truth is, you just need confidence to learn a few things and to have a roadmap. Oh, there's absolutely some details that you need to be aware of, and your plan is important, but you just need to learn a few things. And as you start learning, you quickly see you don't need these services. Now, going a little further on this, lots of college coaches will tell you they really don't pay attention to the correspondence that they get from services. We pay attention to kids, their coaches, their parents, but many college head coaches will tell you that they ignore or steer clear of the stuff that gets pushed their way by services. And I was one of them. So you're actually paying a lot of money for something that sometimes puts you into a group of kids that many college coaches avoid. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Coaches have to perform to keep their jobs. We have recruiting budgets and typically do our own homework. The kids who pop up on our radars are the kids on certain ranking lists, or kids we've personally seen, received personal stuff from, or who stuck out with us for some reason. Look, I know what goes on behind the scenes. I know what works. You can involve a service if you want, but you absolutely can do this yourself. And if you do it right, you actually stand out more, which, with something like this, is very important. So let me finish by telling you a quick story. I had a girl who played for me who goes down as one of my all-time favorite kids. We were coming back from a road trip. We were talking up front while a lot of the other players were sleeping or studying in the back of the bus. We got to kidding about how she wound up playing for me at Mizzou. I'd first seen her play at a tournament in Memphis, Tennessee. I'd never seen her before or heard of her, but she was pretty good. When the tournament ended, I visited with her and her folks. On the spot, I asked her to visit campus. I really liked her and I wanted her to fly her in. After doing a little more research on her and before she took her visit, just so she knew I was serious about her, I offered her a full scholarship. Recruiting's pretty competitive, and often if you snooze, you lose. She visited, things worked out, and that's how she wound up playing at the University of Missouri. But a couple of years later, in the bus, as we were talking, she told me that about a year before she and I met and I recruited her, and long before she had any clue where she was going, her dad had responded to an online thing from a recruiting service. He plugged in his email and was immediately contacted. He was taken in by the sales pitch and signed on. Over time, he paid about $5,000 to them to handle her. But here's the deal. Despite the money, she said her dad was constantly ticked. He didn't feel he got much out of it. They mailed some stuff, they created a profile, and there were some phone calls back and forth, and he sent them paperwork. But they basically told him what he needed to do, and he did most of the work himself. He was later quite emphatic that it had been a complete waste of money and he could have done the whole thing without him. And on my end, as the coach, I randomly found this young lady playing at a tournament in Memphis. I had never received any correspondence whatsoever from that particular recruiting service on her behalf. So I know it goes like that sometimes. There's a lot of stories out there that are like this. You can do what you want, but knowing what I know, I'd advise you to learn what you need to do and then do it yourself. And let me teach you what to do. I really want you to have great success. The point is, you just need to learn a few concepts, which is what I teach. I really want to show you how to do all of this by yourself.
So I hope you got something out of that. I'm probably going to be doing a couple other videos on recruiting services because it's a question that I get sometimes where people are just saying, hey, do you think I need one? And I sometimes get a little bit of a rep for, being anti-athletic recruiting service. And that's really not true at all. I actually advise my clients with a couple of them, sign up for them for the free stuff. But when you inevitably start getting clobbered with phone calls and emails, just pass on the high-priced services that they are absolutely absolutely going to bug you and try and sell you. You don't need that. And again, that's because I've got people that I'm working with. These are my clients, and I know the stuff that I'm doing. And there's just a big difference in terms of working with some company that's usually in some other state that doesn't know you, that's dealing with hundreds and hundreds of other kids, versus somebody that you're working with directly who really knows this stuff on a deep level and is specifically working with you. And so again, I'm a big believer any exposure you get is a good thing. And again, so I just kind of wanted you to understand how athletic recruiting services work, and I wanted you to understand kind of what coaches we think about it. And I never used them. Pretty much all the coaches that I'm around, we never really used them. I know there are going to be some at some schools, but anyway, but I'll leave that to you. You can kind of make your own judgments on that. So look, again, hope you got something out of this. If you did, and this is an area that you're interested in, you should give some consideration to subscribing to the channel. I drop videos on this subject fairly regularly. And if you got something out of this particular video, absolutely click that like button, and it helps support my work and what I'm trying to do. And also, as a starting place, absolutely click the link at the bottom of this video. Grab my completely free walkthrough. It's a video walkthrough. You get detailed notes. I mean, it's like really, really good stuff. And I don't even think it's a starting place. I mean, I think, it's better than what most of the recruiting services, or you're going to be paying thousands of dollars there. I'm giving it to you for completely free. I mean, it's really, really good stuff. And so anyway, look, I'll be back with another video in this area shortly. And until then, I want to wish you the absolute best of luck with everything that you're doing. Your goals, your academics, your sport, just all of it. We'll be talking soon. Take care.